InShalla. Oh, we are live. Do, 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 do. There I be. InShalla and Ashe. New moon blessings to you, my energetic beings. So the frequency of this new moon is going to last for like 48 hours. So if you've yet to do your intentions, heal the wounds that are no longer serving you, or choosing an affirmation that's in alignment with your heart and your feelings, it actually would be a magical morning or afternoon for meditating on what that feels like for each of us individually. But welcome to today's daily snippet. Once again, I am your host. I'm a practicing holistic shamedium and subtle energy surgeon, merging these indigenous ways and technologies, the wisdom of spirit with the Dagara tribe in Burkina Faso. I just was thinking about Maladoma just then. It's his weekend celebration that I won't be able to be there, but I will be there in spirit. But merging these subtle energies, elements, and elemental beings. For me, it's the elemental realm into the imaginal realm with offerings, rituals, and prescriptions to really add to the juice of our own personal container. But really, my intention is to merge these wisdoms of these indigenous technologies into the subtle realms, the etheric highway, to assist you into navigating your prime directive, your inner genius, just really introducing you to the magical being that I believe resides in each and every one of us. My name is Tanya D, and welcome to my virtual medicine room. And if you haven't already, please be kind and do subscribe to my YouTube channel, Tanya D. Hit the bell button so you're notified. And also, if you don't mind, liking and sharing these videos so that algorithm on YouTube echoes out to suggest me to other like-minded users in the galactic universe, along with other social channels. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and of course my podcast, Musing with Tanya D. And being that it's not only the morning of the magical new moon, but it's also April Fool's Day, the universe is magical, right? So who are we being spotlighted today? Like, who are we? That's really what's highlighted. So it's as if we are in this alignment, this full throttle of integrity, what that is to each and every one of us, a state of being whole or undivided, a quality of being honest and strong with our principles and our morality, if you will. But the moon, this moon in particular, is all about healing this time around. So if you have yet to tune into my Musing Moon meditation, it's live and in the corridor, just flowing energy from the crown all the way down, who we are. So when we have cut and have a cut is what I'm thinking of, or a scab, and all of a sudden the cut is being healed, it's not that it never happened. It's just that it's yes, and it's like this awe of that awareness. So being that we have this energy, I'm going with the ShadowScapes today, the angelic, the otherworldly, these symbolic messages. They're all kind of coined up into this particular deck that I love and use. Actually, I love all my decks. Let's be real. But first up, dun, 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 we have the 10 of Cups. So this is a placeholder. 10 is a placeholder of our emotions, water, around our heart. So about what our heart loves and having that placeholder to hold that in place, what our heart loves, not the outer, the other. And seeing the water swirling around the two of them, I don't know if you can tell that that is water, but there's like these wave tops, this crest of the wave that's been kissed by the sun streaming through. It's like when you're underwater and you can see the sun's rays streaming through the water, the streams. So the waters are warm, they're inviting. They drift in this fluidic embrace, if you will. They're comforted by the lightness and the flares within their own magical heart. So they're like these twin little mini suns, if you will, caught in each other's kind of embrace, the gravity. They orbit around each other. It's almost like they have their own galaxy of comforts, right? So the world outside really ceases to exist because they have this attainment of what their heart really desires, and they want for nothing. They need no other to make this moment complete and this embrace. But there is a union, nevertheless, between the two of them and even all the creatures that are surrounding them. So you can see the school, or maybe you can't, but there's a school of fish that's sending this vortex of bubbles to kind of froth in this dizzy swirl. I'm seeing like the froth of oceanic waves, right? They're entangled in these limbs. They're this joy. They're radiating outward in this luminous sphere, like it's a shelter of protection, almost said perfection. But the fish are symbols of plenty and prosperity. So they're slicing through these depths. Their scales are sparkling, they're glimmering of that gold, right? Living gold. So this is a moment of bliss, just eternal essence, just final contentment. It's very real, but it actually has to be nourished and nurtured, or else it can easily slip back away into the depths of the ocean like a scattered school of fish. So this really is a message for healing our emotional past so we don't slip back into the depths of the ocean, scattering our emotions out in that field, that auric field. So the Ten of Cups is the final attainment of serenity and peace. One of my virtues, peace. So success and happiness have it's like our wish has been granted at last. So we have this all-encompassing emotional contentment. We're being embodied with that, not just a physical or a material kind of pleasure. So this is like family support and the bonds that we have. They're important to be able to enjoy the blessings of life. So it's like, what are you blessed with and what have you been grateful for over the past year, right? Just seeing how far we have come, it really has been a journey, right? I would say absolutely 100%. The journey is still on. And then we have, the Seven of Swords. So this is air, it's communication, but the seven is spirit. It can also be karma, healing of the karma. You know, I pulled this card many times before. Sneaky little character, or he thinks he is crafty, just hiding his face behind his mask, covering up his true nature, smirking. He's rather satisfied. So he's managed literally to steal one of the swords from that guardian, the swan guardian that's overseeing all of this, right? But he thinks she's oblivious. However, she is in fact watching him. She's got one eye over her shoulder. I don't know if you can see that, but she knows. And she recognizes his authentic true nature. And the blackbirds, they're descending upon him. They're idling very close. They're curious about what he's got there. Hidden in his hand, the shiny, bright bauble of that sword. But he's turning his back to them, believing he is the cleverest blackbird of all. He's got his mask on. So, you know, he's clever in the way that he was able to draw that sword from the stone. But the Seven of Swords represents an attempt to escape the responsibility. It's the thief in the night who tries to take away what is not theirs, dishonorably just trying to keep everything for themselves. He's two-faced to those who attempt to approach him. So the result of such an outlook on the world is really uncertainty. So if one is untrustworthy, then why risk having faith in others as well? So, you know, deception breeds distrust. It's a pessimistic viewpoint. So I would say be aware of what you see and what you believe. Often what we see hasn't been in alignment with what we are hearing, right? There's discourse there. It's imbalanced. So we have these two frequencies hanging out there. And then we have, sorry, my little trackpad's over here. Ding, ding, ding. There we go. I like the ding, ding, ding. The Six of Swords, right? So the six is what we are opening up to receive. Otherworldly messages, because it's swords, it's air, it's insights. It's also what my girl Cindy Dell would call the God spot. The God spot is online today. It's not connected to any of our energetic centers, and we all have a God spot or a source connection spot, whatever resonates with you. But the Six of Swords, I'm not sure if you can see the little person all cuddled up on the wings of the swan there, but the eyes are drifting shut, feeling the gentle hands lifting him into the downy feathers. I don't know if you have a downy comforter, but I sure do. But he's feeling the muscular tensing of the wings, the flex of her wings moving. There's a jolt as she springs up into the sky. So his limbs, you know, he's feeling kind of malleable. He's sapped. He's drained of his own willpower or his own will. So she is carrying him. She's embracing him. And he's curled into this fetal embrace on her back, just swooning right in there. So he's connected to her, but he's also content to let her carry him away. So the swan is flying through the night. Her wings don't seem to get tired. She doesn't even seem to know what exhaustion is. So it's this steady strength of this rhythmic beat of her wings and this warm living pulse of her heartbeat beneath his own chest. So, you know, when you're cuddled with somebody, well, for me, it would be Sir Didymus, and you can feel their heartbeat. It just seems to resonate and radiate into our pores and really just diffuse the being of who we are with a bit of the spirit. So for me, it would be the spirit of Sir Diddy is like infused within me. But with our little person here and our little swan, as the dawn kind of sends those tentative streams and fingers of light into the sky, you can kind of see the swirl there, the beaming swirl. So our little person is finally cracking open his eyes to see the swiftly passing landscape far, far below. The land seems distant. And it's kind of hard to believe the anguish, the fears, the tribulations, the trials that such a miniature world can often feels like it creates, right? So the storm crows are squawking, they're harsh as they pass by, but the sound just falls upon the deaf ears. So this is kind of, you know, turning forward in our gaze. The clouds part, so we can see where the swan is actually carrying this particular person, but he's smiling back, he's touching tightly to the swan. So he's got this new strength within his grasp, his fingertips. So this is the passage, a passage away from the difficulties. It's a chance to recover from those trials and tribulations. You know, there's so much change from a bewildering world. It perhaps has induced disheartenment, hopelessness, despair, melancholy. And, you know, this is a message that we're finding a way to lift out of all of that, just holding the integrity, the line of the world that we really wish to be in. So it really is up to us to be the change that we wish to see, you know, forces of adversity no more. The moon is a new you, the connection to source is high on the tides. So I actually would call in source, the other world, the ancestors, an otherworldly being, sit and really have a heart-to-heart and wait for those sigils, the signs that come through over the next 48 hours. I would call in the angelic being. Metatron is also online. Ariel, actually, we have a few. They all are really online. So just really call upon who you feel within your heart needs to light you up, light up your personal sun, the star that you are. I would kind of gravitate to that and through that. And then on the elemental highway, we have a young wood monkey of a day, a Jia Shen. So both yang energy. The day is very young. It's outward living styles. Our month is the yin energy, so that's going inward. Our day is strong, being born in the season of spring. The monkey is scratchy, he's unrefined. Useful, however, to trimming up that overwhelming wood energy, sort of. Yin metal might be a better fit. So this is kind of like a duel. If you've seen the movie Matt Damon's in, The Duel, it's actually based on a true story, so they say. But our year is actually a heavenly dim star, a metaphor of spring. It's in the pine forest. It's maturing, young, quite early, being firmly determined. What is determination? So that's how this year is feeling, determined. And the monkey, the Shen, contains that yang metal, yang water, and in storage we have yang earth. But the yang metal to our day is what's called unbecoming power. The yang water is unbecoming resources, and the earth is also unbecoming wealth. So this is kind of like a catastrophe waiting to happen. The water on the month is a resource. It's spirit, it's parents and mentors. Yin water on our month is actually a proper resource, and the rabbit is an unfriendly. It's a sibling rivalry, a jealous parent maybe. But the tiger in the month has the yang wood, the yang fire, and the yang earth. So the yang wood is a friend, and the fire is gracious performance or output, charisma, and the earth is still that unbecoming wealth. So this is wealth that we actually have to work very hard for. It actually might be wealth that is stolen from us. So being that our day is strong, this is a tree. It's a prosperous tree, being born in the spring. Being born in the spring, it's nature, it's well nourished. It's the cycle that we are in. So metal is the most needed to trim those branches, to prune our day into something magical. And fire, the yin fire, a candle, is actually the next important element, which burns it so our day can become very productive. And earth is also useful to weaken the dominating element, which is wood. Water really isn't needed, especially in large quantities, because it's going to make our day even stronger. It is the resource, and we actually have plenty of it. But yang wood, love this, right? I have a yang wood day master with a tiger, so kindness really is a thing. This is a sturdy tree. Yang wood people mimic sturdy trees. They have deep roots that allows them to stand very firmly in place. Just like trees can, these people can withstand almost anything, a sturdy tree, which is also the reason why they can be very bullheaded, persistent in getting what they want. They're direct talkers, just like the way trees don't fear growing in any direction, quite wildly maybe. So these people talk to you in a direct manner since they don't sugarcoat their words. They're sometimes viewed to be blunt or thoughtless, even if they don't mean to insult anybody. I literally call this my unsolicited advice. But these are the type of people who always act as the right hand because they can be trusted. Very protective, loving of the people they love. Even if they often end up as the runner-ups, they don't hold grudges. They are loyal people who wouldn't give up easily, making them both loyal and trustworthy. They really focus on the big galactic picture. They're the type of people who can visualize, what is visualization? Visualize the great scheme of things, the mountaintop perspective, the otherworldly point of view, and pinpointing the major factors in different issues, particular issues even. But, it's also because of this mentality that they tend to get directly to their end goal without thinking over the smaller details, if you will. That then gives them this kind of tendency to be frivolous, especially when making decisions. However, when they're called upon to make a decision, they do so without additional prompting, which leads to kind of hasty decisions. They don't consider all the facts at hand. So these people make decisions as a reaction, which can be dangerous since they are hesitant about rethinking or correcting any of the decisions that they've made. It's kind of oblivious. So they're deep rooted. It holds them in place. They tend to grow long, strong roots at a place where they live or places where they work. Loyalty, it's often like, I know this for myself. Loyalty sometimes is an entanglement. So they often hesitate to move, changing jobs or places of living. That can be extremely stressful for them. So they might avoid it no matter what. They see things based on their beliefs and experiences, which is very different. They find it difficult to be objective about the way they see things because, again, it's beliefs and experiences. It's not about facts. So oftentimes they may ask the opinions of their friends, family members, associates, etc. But it's mostly because they want someone to agree with them rather than to ask them for advice. So they love to point others in the right direction to get them on their path, given their ability to kind of articulate their thoughts easily. So people under this sign do well in teaching professions, but most of the time they do cross the line from teaching to criticizing. So this kind of makes other people see them in a bad light. And hopefully I don't do that. I usually am the one to call somebody out, emotionally disrupting them for basically being assholes. However, status and power above all, they place high importance on their careers because in their minds that defines who they are. They're willing to stay employed even though they're not paid a lot. I know about that. As long as they're positioned, their position has them in the eyes of the beholder, if you will. It's influential, prominent in their status, how they're seen. But because what is the eyes, by the way? Our eyeballs, visions, things you can't make up. But the ultimate, they are the ultimate confident boosters. For them is their wealth and how their appearance. So these type of people, they need to feel that they have this elevated financial status to become more confident, whether they do or not. It's how they're seen. I've had all these crazy things. However, they really don't bank on having a sharp mind. They're more of, again, the belief and the experience, but at the same time, they have this very sexual nature, natural charisma that really prompts them to dress up, to feel good, to have greater self-esteem. However, the self-esteem does depend on the external factors, the environment. They're not very religious because they would rather stick with the belief and what they believe. So they are only confident when things are actually flowing well. Once they suffer from setbacks that seem to push them down, they are prone to losing their confidence. I've gone through that as well, having the rug pulled out from under my feet from forces of adversity. However, these people don't get angry very easily, as they see it as a means of losing control or being out of control. But there are instances when they do become angry because things are spinning out of control, the same way a tree could stand firm in the middle of a tornado, say, or a storm. They could also be prone to being blown up in all directions. However, if that's the case, it's a vital frequency, because wood is vital energy as well in the body. All this goes with the body. That's how I got into the 4 pillars. Actually, it was about healing the body. But it's better to step out, step back, and look at the big picture, the grand perspective of things. But being that our day is prosperous, it's born in the season of spring, our tree does need some regular trimming. So yang metal, yin fire, literally those are the most needed elements for our day, especially being that it's so strong. Yang fire and yin water, they can also be beneficial for this master element, but it's rather sensitive when it comes to the elemental supports. This I do know. Young wood people need a lot of conditions to function properly. A tree needs the sun to provide the warmth, water to provide nutrition, strong earth to provide stability, and strong metal to perform that regular trimming. But at the workplace, it often feels like young wood people aren't doing very much, but the tree has one very important function, and that's providing oxygen. So oftentimes young wood people, their work does often go unnoticed to those who don't look around, but once these people are gone, you're going to miss them greatly. So young wood people often have a problem that they can't be on top for very long. So for example, in a company, different markets or professions, like a strong rooted tree, which grows otherworldly, quite large, the tree of life or the tree of knowledge, right? It kind of needs to be trimmed, cut down to give space for other plants to grow. So they really are excellent, like a right-hand person, those kinds of roles. I'm going to give a list of some young wood people, but you're going to notice that a lot of them struggle to stay on top of their game. Many of them die early. Some struggle with addictions. But just know they're very protective. They're practical. They're loyal, kindness, determined, goal-orientated, initiating, two sides of that coin. But I found it interesting that Keanu Reeves, which I love, Kate Winslet, Liam Neeson, Jimi Hendrix, Elvis Presley, just to name a few. But since we are in the super juice of this initiation, this healing with this new moon, it's like, what is it that you wish to take form, to take shape? Hopefully you've noticed the treatment of the self being highlighted, how we treat our inner selves and how we respond and treat aspects of ourselves. Just coming into that alignment, it may feel a little bit frustrating, awkward even, unfamiliar, which is honestly, I feel that's a great thing, getting familiar with the unfamiliar. We get to the details, the fine print, the pinpointing. There's no need to be self-critical, over analyzing ourselves, just allowing the universe to do the hows, the outcome. It's time to trim, create the star that we are. This frequency is carrying out into the airwaves for literally the entire year. So again, we're trimming away what no longer is serving us. It really is like getting a new wardrobe, how we're seen, spring cleaning. The possibility of noticing what is out of alignment in your outer world. It's this connection from the inside to the outside reverberating. So the possibilities are endless. You may pick up on the frequencies of the outer realms that need to change, transform, allow. There's no need to respond. We're kind of in this observation station, that mountaintop otherworldly perspective. We're going to feel into it, heart syncing with it, and have this inner knowing, this inner channeling of belief from that God spot, if you will. So in all the things, the thing to be to yourself is to be self-compassionate, be kind, be forgiving. So it's as if we are our own monitor, our own monitoring screen. And this could happen like out in the world, the knowing, the belonging, the associations. So I would just be in the observation station, kind of stay floating there, not engaging yourself, trusting yourself, listening to your feelings. That reverberation is kind of what I keep seeing. And respond with your heart and your mind. You know, what does bring your best side out of you? You know, it's a great day to be embodied and kind of troubleshooting the changes that you need to make to your own embodiment. And the more we love ourselves in our inner world, the more love we share to the outer world. It's like being that big tree and the fruits, right, of our labors in a way. Then we start to shift the frequency of the world at the same time, the world around us, the village. So that is the force. It's the power of love over the love of power. That is what is kind of falling apart, right? Watching it in the streams. I would totally listen to my Musing Moon meditation. So our God spot is anchoring the sound of fire and metal for our day and simply just affirming the magical being that resides within us, being in that heartfelt alignment. Just keep it simple. That would be my affirmation. I affirm the magical being that resides within me. I say that sometimes on the daily, sometimes the hourly. So yeah, I just might say that. But our wounds, this is the whole message of this new moon, healing the wounds and the traumas. Even the cards kind of brought that in as well. The swords, the 10 of cups. So really coming into alignment with ourselves as to how we would define who we are. It's our decision to define who we are, right? So with that, InShalla and Ashe, I will see you next week. I'm doing my other stuff on the weekend, but I will see you on the other side. And as always, grateful that you showed up, and make it a magical new moon weekend. InShalla, Ashe.